Okay, so now we've done the header, we now need to do the body of the messages. So this component is going to be called message body. Essentially, it will contain all of the messages. So we now need to create this body in the component section. So in main screen, new file, message body.tsx, and this is RAFCE of message body, which is essentially again a react.fc. And in here, we're going to have a div with a class name. So we're going to import the background that we have normally in the WhatsApp messages body. So let's add that in. So we're going to have a class name in here. So first of all, we have an overflow Y of auto, flex, and flex call. So everything will go down into a column. A min height of the screen. So min h is screen. Take up the 100 VH of the min height. We're going to have justify content of end, and then this is how you would add backgrounds into Tailwind on a certain background image or so on. So this will be bg dash, and then you have array brackets, and then you would put in your URL. So URL, and then you would have your speech marks in here, and then I'm just going to bring in the URL. And then what we want to do is close this off. So I will use the backticks and then the JSX brackets in here. And then we also need to do it at the start as well. So now all I need to do is render a p tag saying hello. And now if I save and check the message body, essentially what will happen is it will take up all of the rest of the space onto the page, and it will render this background in here as the image background. So there's one more thing we need to do, which is essentially import the message body in the main screen. So let's go ahead and do that. And now save. And now, as you can see, we now have the WhatsApp background with the hello text here being rendered at the bottom. So the next thing we need to do is add the bottom bar, which is the message import. So let's go ahead and do that now. So on the main screen component, we now have this header and the body. And now I'm just going to create the final one, which is message import, which essentially is going to be a React functional component. So let's have that. And we now need to create this. So in my main screen in here, create a new file, and again, RAFCE. And this is going to have a few things. It's going to have icons, it's going to have an import, and the input is going to be of type form, because when we press enter, we want to submit the information and add it to the Firestore database and configure our messages collection, which we will look at. So first of all, I want a div, and this div will have the class name, essentially putting the div right at the bottom of the page and keeping it sticky like so. We will have an icon button of the mood icon within the div. We will also have another icon button of the attach file icon. So this is where we will add and attach files into our Firestore storage buckets, which we will look at later on. And then finally, what we will do is we will have a form, and this won't have an action, but it will have an on submit. So on submit, and this on submit is equal to send message, which is a function we will create. Again, we don't have that functionality, so I'm just going to create send message, and I'm just going to say console log message sent, like so, just so we have that in there for now. And then finally, we're going to have another icon button with a keyboard outline. In the form on submit, we're going to have an input. So I'll bring in the input in here, and the input value is going to be using the use state. So let's just bring in the use state information in at the top, which is a use state of message text, and at the minute it's empty. And then we want to update the message text on e.target.value. So whenever we press a button, for example. So now let's see if that's showing up. It isn't, because we need to import it now on the main screen. So now, as you can see, it is being rendered onto the page over here. We just need to fix the styling a little bit. So let's go into the message import, and the form will need to have a class name of width of full. So we can add that in here as well. So width of full, and that should fix the import now, which it has done over here. So that is the UI complete. What we will do next is create a modal, so that when we click on this icon here, we will then be able to select from a modal and a list of contacts, and then create a chat with that contact. So we will do that next.